What up, everybody? Wax Knowledge and a place to be. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Alright, so in recent weeks, there's been talk about a lawsuit and settlement between Tracy Chapman, you got a fast car, and Nicki Minaj. Apparently, this involves a song from 2018 called Sorry, which contains not a sample, but an interpolation of Tracy Chapman's Baby Can I Hold You. It's a very popular song, especially in the world of acoustics and even dancehall. There's been a dancehall cover of the song. But this involves Nicki Minaj's song Sorry, which was a collaboration with Nas. Now, after the song was recorded, they attempted to get permission from Tracy Chapman to use their interpolation of the song. Tracy Chapman refused, but the song ended up circulating anyway, and as an end result, because of that, Tracy Chapman has been paid $450,000, that's just under $500,000, to Nicki Minaj. Now, I bring this up because this is not a new thing in hip-hop. Matter of fact, it's not even a new thing in music anymore. The issues of sampling, interpolations, and copyright infringement, it's as old as Biz Markie. I mean, seriously. One of the earliest lawsuits in hip-hop regarding sampling was a Biz Markie case. Biz Markie's defense was that everybody does it. And for the most part in hip-hop, it's true. I mean, most of our classic albums, everything from Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation to Millions to Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders, relied on samples to get that boom bap sound, that legendary sound that permeates in hip-hop to today. But everything costs. And being that these samples were made by artists whose acts have been copyright protected, clearance has to be paid. If clearance isn't paid, lawsuits happen. And on top of that, even if artist puts out something, if the clearance isn't there, then that could easily mean a track being pulled. Or, in rare cases, the track continues, but the artist that sampled it doesn't see a dime. So, to sample or not to sample, to do an interpolation or not do an interpolation. It's a catch-22 because sampling in itself preserves the DNA of music. Through sampling, artists get discovered, artists have a second revitalization of their career, and new fans are discovered through digging into the crates. For example, Biggie's Hypnotize gave Herb Alpert a second win because of Herb Alpert's song Rise being the sample material. Now, on the flip side, again, sampling costs. And also, there are producers who would rather create their own stuff. Like, for example, even in the mid-90s with the Noriega era, Nori, he was one of the earliest customers of the Neptunes, Pharrell and Chad Hugo. This resulted in tracks like Super Thug becoming a mainstay in hip-hop. And down the line, as the Neptunes sound got bigger and bigger, more artists such as Ludacris, Nelly, and Busta Rhymes started going to the Neptunes. And rarely did the Neptunes ever sample. They always played their own instruments. So this led to tracks like Hot in Here by Nelly, Southern Hospitality by Ludacris, and even Pastor Courvoisier by Busta Rhymes. All big hits from the Neptunes that didn't rely on samples. However, this is where interpolation also comes in too, because remember, Pharrell ended up getting sued by the estate of Marvin Gaye for Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines, which sounds very similar to Marvin Gaye's Got to Give It Up. A little too similar. In the case of Pharrell, what happened was they were trying to do a audio tribute to Marvin Gaye, in particular the Marvin Gaye sound. And this has been done before, by other artists who do a little wink to their heroes, like Bruno Mars doing a wink to Sting and his singing style with Locked Out of Heaven. But with Bruno Mars's case, that didn't sound too much like any of Sting's original work or any of the Police's original work. So, the difference being, if it sounds too similar, a lawsuit could happen. So, this is a case where interpolations or even sound tributes can come into play, where you get into the gray area of sampling. And it's not even directly a sample, it's just along the lines of it, because you're either borrowing a sound from another artist or you're borrowing just a style from another artist. So, rewinding back to the Neptunes and the early days, you can actually become a very successful producer without sampling another artist. If you develop a particular sound that they can empathize with, or that catches their ear, it can produce a hit. But at the same time, samples have their own benefit, again with familiarity, not just in giving the artist new shine, but reminding fans of that artist's work from prior. For example, again with Nicki Minaj with Anaconda. Samples Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back, and everybody from my generation definitely knows about Sir Mix-a-Lot's Anaconda Don't Want None Unless It Got Buns, hun. So, that contributed not only to a reinvigorated interest in Sir Mix-a-Lot's catalog, but helped Nicki Minaj secure a hit. And, again, this shows how sampling preserves the DNA of music. And again, it's a catch-22 because royalties have to be paid, clearances have to be cleared, and for the most part, while everybody sees money, there's more money to be made from original work rather than sampling. So what's one to do? Well, I can't speak for the mainstream artists out there and the ones who are already successful, but for up-and-coming artists, this is the video I made this for. For the ones who are still on SoundCloud, who are still selling albums through Bandcamp and whatnot, with sampling, you may not have to pay as much as artists with record label deals who are trying to get on the Billboard 100, but it's still going to cost. That's still money coming out the pocket. And that's if you're producing it yourselves. That's not to count production fees if you're using an outside producer. Now, for people like myself who don't rely on samples as much as they used to, I'm a beat maker for those who don't know. There's a joy to creating your own work and putting it out there and saying, yeah, that's all me. Now, there's less of a familiarity of it because it's not using samples that people have used before. You know, there's a certain earworm to samples of old jazz hits or old R&B hits. If someone samples Jodeci, they're like, ooh, that hits. But if it's an original piece, it has to hit a certain way. Now, there's videos on how to write tunes that catch people's ears. I mean, you can listen to any other producer on YouTube that'll give you advice on this. But for the most part, it depends on what you want. Do you want to reel in fans with older sounds that sound familiar, or do you want to market yourself as an original act? By original act, I mean everything that is involved is made from scratch. So, closing, I just wanted to say this is merely a cautionary tale, but at the same time, an examination of choice A or choice B. Whatever choice you make, the choice is yours. But laying it all out there, this just lets you know what's at stake when you sample or do an interpolation or anything along those lines. Again, like Black Sheep said, the choice is yours. So if you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Wax Knowledge. Know yourself.